Today's demo is to make choux pastry using steam as a raising agent. So the ingredients we're going to need today are strong white flour. That's obviously going to give us carbohydrate, but it's also very high in protein. We then need butter, and it is really important it is butter and not margarine, because margarine has a high water content, so we need to use butter here. And that's going to provide us with fat. We have then got eggs here. We're going to use 2 eggs, and that's protein. And then we're going to use water, which obviously has got no nutritional value. However, that water is going to be used as our raising agent because it will turn to steam under high heat. The first top tip is to make sure you weigh your water, because the proportion of ingredients in choux pastry is very important. So I've put my pan onto the scales. I'm going to tare it to make sure that the pan doesn't weigh anything. I've got on 0. I'm going to put it onto millilitres. And then I'm going to make sure I only measure in 150 ml of cold water. I'm then going to pop the butter in. And then we're going to put that on a high heat. We need to get it to a rolling boil and melt the butter into the water. So our aim here is to melt the butter into the water and to get a rolling boil. So remember, we're using a wooden spoon because that doesn't conduct heat. Our pan handle is over the bench, so that's for health and safety. And we're just going to mix this, we're going to stir it until the butter melts and we have a rolling boil. As you can see, the steam is starting to rise, so that indicates that the water is getting hotter. But we're looking for large, rapid, angry bubbles to show that it is boiling. Next, we need to sieve our flour. So we're just going to sieve it onto a bit of baking parchment or into a bowl. It's absolutely fine. Remember, we're sieving to get the lumps out and a little bit of air in. So as you can see now, it's coming to a boil. The butter has melted. The steam is coming off, which indicates getting very hot. And if you look here, you'll see the large rapid bubbles, and this is a rolling boil. Take it off the heat, and we need to shoot the flour straight into the butter and water. And what we're going to do is now we need to create a paste. So it's really important you do this quickly until you've got a paste. Now we're going to turn the temperature right down to about 2. So as you can see there, this is your paste. Now we're going to cook that for a couple of minutes because we have just reached gelatinisation. And then we're going to pop it into a glass bowl to cool. Now at this minute, it is far too hot to be able to add the eggs in. Because if we add the eggs in now, as you can see, the steam is still rising, the eggs would just scramble, and we don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait, and we're going to leave that to get to about blood temperature. So just nice and warm. In the meantime, we'll prepare our eggs. So we need 2 eggs for this, and remember, we'll just remind ourselves how to check eggs. We'll look for the line mark, which shows a quality. It shows us that these eggs have been vaccinated against salmonella. We will check the best before date on them, check there are no cracks, and then we're going to hold it in the palm of our hand, 1 hard sharp crack, and then we are going to pop the egg into the bowl. Again, we're going to check for the line mark, we're going to check for the date, we're going to check that the egg is okay, and then 1 hard sharp crack, and then we're going to pull our thumbs apart and put the egg into the bowl. And then we're just going to check to see there is no eggshell in there. We're going to use a fork and we're just going to whisk those eggs up. Now the eggs in this recipe are there because they're full of protein, so they're going to help coagulate and set the framework of the choux pastry. Also, it's going to help it rise because again there's liquid in here, and the liquid in here will change, it will develop into steam, which will help the rising process. Once the mixture has reached blood temperature, or it's just nice and warm, then we're going to start to add the egg. So we're going to add the egg a little bit at a time. You don't want to add too much, and we're going to mix it until the egg is absorbed by the liquid. When you're doing this, the easiest way to use the wooden spoon is to hold it down at the bottom of the neck. So once that bit's been absorbed, we're going to add another little bit in. Small bits at a time. And what we want to do is we want to create a form of batter. Now when we put these in the oven, we're going to put them in a very hot oven because the hot oven is going to create the steam. It's going to turn the liquid into steam, and that's going to cause it to rise. Now an electric whisk can be used at this point. But we're just going to add in and there we have our choux pastry batter ready to pipe. Firstly, pull the icing bag right back over your hand. And then scoop the choux pastry batter into the bag. Once it's into the bag, this is really important. So what we're going to do is we are going to squeeze the mixture down to the end. And then we're going to twist it. We're going to twist the bag. The only piece we're going to use pressure on is our fingers and the heel of our hand. This hand is here to guide it, but apart from that, the only place we're putting pressure is we're going to squeeze here. So we're going to make some choux buns here. So all you're going to do is you are going to do a nice swirl, and then just to finish it, you just dip it. So if you go round and then dip. So you're going to put them slightly far apart, about probably a centimetre, a couple of centimetres apart, so that they can rise. So round and then dip, and it'll come off. Now, here, we're losing pressure. So what we're going to do is we're going to twist it to create pressure again, and then do the next one. Now we don't want them to be huge because we won't have enough time to cook them. And at this stage they are small. They're going to go into a very hot oven, which is going to turn the liquid into steam. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of them got points. So what we're going to use is some cold water on our finger, and we're just going to flatten the edges down. So this one here, I'm going to flatten the edges down. Now these are going to go into a really hot oven, 230 degrees or gas 8, for 15 minutes. And then we're going to reduce the heat for 200 to 200 degrees or gas 6 for a further 10 minutes. So the first bit is about the steam rising, and causing the dough to rise. The second part is for the coagulation to take place in order to form the structure of the choux buns. Make sure we use oven gloves before putting them in the oven, and we'll come back after 15 minutes to see what they're like.